Hey there, Internet. It's me, Broken Terrain. It's been a little while, but I'm back, and I'm going to show you this awesome tower I made out of a shipping tube and lots of crazy-sized bricks. So come along, we're going to get right to it after the drop. Oh man, this is one crazy big shipping tube. My wife brought it home from her place of work, and this is going to be the source for many a great project. So stay tuned, subscribe, so that you don't miss those future projects. Anyway, I grabbed my triangle, not my triangle, my T-square, measure along the edge, trying to keep it square, and then using these marks, I grab a handsaw, which I found to be the best way through the tube, and then just rotated the tube, angling the saw along the marks to get a fairly straight cut. Then I take the same T-square and just square up and quarter the tube so that I have some reference points for when I'm laying down features on the tube to create my tower. Once I've got some of these marks laid out, I go through a box of cardboard templates. I pick an arch that I like, that's about the size of the door that I'm looking for. I trace it out, and then several passes carefully with the X-Acto knife, and I cut the door out. I turn to some dollar store XPS foam. You gotta love these sheets of XPS from the dollar store. They come like foam core sheets, but the ready-made brand, the paper can actually tear off both sides, and you get a very great flexible, very sculptable or imprintable XPS foam. I end up lining the door frame and doing some stonework. Later on, I will remove that so that I can take the piece that I cut out for the door and simply place it right back in. But until then, I go to my pink XPS foam, use that doorway to trace the arch, and then expand it on the inside and out just a little bit, hot glue it into place. I'm going to cut or shape the edges with my X-Acto knife, and then trace in some brickwork that is going to match that white XPS foam arch that I've already put in. And don't forget to hit everything with your balled up aluminum foil. This is going to give it a really cool stone texture. And I go back over all my my stonework cuts with a pen and just open those edges up a little bit. I wanted some decoration along the base of the tower, so I found a template in my box that had this general shape and made several of them. I want to say 8, possibly 7, something like that. And using this method here, this trick of taping a paper towel around the circumference of the tube and then laying it flat, and then with a ruler I could find out the proper spacing for these pieces at the bottom of the tower here. And then I simply have to lay the paper towel back down along the base with the marks I've made with my measurements. Then it's some hot glue along the back and gluing them in place where I placed my marks. And then it's brickwork, and more brickwork. I'm using a combination of my old bricks with the green, and then a bunch of crazy sized, different thickness, weirder shaped pink bricks as well. And I'm just going nuts with this design, this layout. There's no rhyme or reason. I'm just stacking everything crazily. I want a really cool look with lots of neat texture, lots of bricks sticking out, some depressed deep into the wall. And I just thought it'd be really cool to try something completely different. So that's why it looks the way it does. There were a lot of bricks. This took a really long time. And, well, you've got to fall in love with it at some point if you're going to keep doing it. And I think when I got everything up past a certain level and it all started to connect together, I'm like, okay, this is going to work. Keep going. It's working. Next up, I needed some kind of design for some windows. And once again, I turned to my template box. These are some MDF templates. Everything from Shifting Lands and Gerard Boom. So look in those directions for any of the templates you see. I'm using some of those windows I had cast earlier, way back when with the mill build, the mill video. And I'm liking the way they look, glued into these little pink XPS foam pieces. I'm going to glue a window for each quarter of the tower. So one directly in the front above the door, directly to the back, and then one to the left and the right. And then once again, I find these other templates, and I'm going to use these to kind of do some embellishment across the top underneath my rampart there. I'm going to use the same paper towel trick I did for the bottom to do the top, and that's going to make sure that these are spaced out and placed as evenly as possible. And I end up doing a second layer of dollar store foam on top of this one as well, with some a similar design, just kind of creating a bit more depth, another layer to the top, and then a couple brick embellishments around each of the major corners or bits there. A little bit of decoration with my X-Acto knife, and then I'm going to go back in on these cuts with my pen. And of course, don't forget to hit everything with a bit of aluminum foil for texture. This next step here, I got a little addicted to, and it was part of the delay of this project. This modeling mousse, I had a hard time finding what I wanted to do with it, and now I've begun to fill in cracks and crevices in some of my projects with it, and I found that it made an incredible looking mortar for a lot of these big, large, open cracks and crevices and areas between the brick on my build. And I just kept going over this entire thing and just squeezing a little more mortar in between bricks, and I'd think I was done, and I'd find another set, and then I'd find another set, and then I'd find another set. Eventually, I just had to go, stop, dude, stop it. Just stop it. It's done. It's time. Just stop it. So I did. I stopped it, but there are a few more that I wouldn't have mind getting some mousse up in there, if you know what I'm saying. Then I needed to cut a circle for the top, and it was too late to make this a playable. If I wanted to do that, I would have had to have cut the tube down into levels and then bricked it accordingly. So I decided to turn this big thing into storage. So I've decided to make the top come off, make it magnetized. I measure out the size of circle I want, clean it up with my knife, and then I etch in the middle across the middle there for some brickwork, and we're ready for it to be a nice top to the tower. Oh, can't forget the door. This is that part of the tube that I had cut out earlier. I laid down some foam, embellished with some thin card, and then some jewelry studs, and a couple pieces of jewelry to mimic handles. Once again, that dollar store foam comes in really handy. I do a little strip of stonework just over the door and inside my major archway there, just to add a little depth to the entrance. Then once again, that moves, and then I just start squishing it in the major cracks and fenders of the build. Boy, I'm really starting to love this stuff. Fantastic. Man, I was so addicted to this. Here we are, a camera shot from all the way out. Just me clearing a little space and hot gluing in some magnets on the top. I've decided to keep the top adhered to it with 3 magnets. And then after I get the 3 in place, I put 3 more magnets on the top of each one of those. Center it up, push it down, find those holes, cut them out with my X-Acto, and we're just going to hot glue the correct polarization magnet right in there so that our top piece will magnet to the tube. There we go. Get it in there. And just cover it a little bit with a little hot glue. Use the nozzle to manipulate it, keep it thin. On the top of the circle, we're going to do some board or wooden plank texture. I do a straight line every 1/4 inch, and then every other inch I do just a little slat to make my my wooden floor. It looks really good, and it is gridded, so you can it handles movement really well. Then you take your pen, do wood grain along each board, and poke in some nail holes. You get a really nice looking wooden floor. I really like it. Then I turn to my green bricks, and around the edges of my the top of my tower here, I lay a ring of bricks on the outside. I'll do a second line of bricks inside of that, and then I'll stack and stack for 3 or 4 rows. Oh, I'm sorry, just 2. And then I did the little parapets up there. Again, stacking them with brick and capping them with the little dollar store foam. You can see inside the tower there, tons of storage. There's the bottom piece I've glued in. Fantastic. Sir scale in front so that you can see just how big it is. It's massive, and he loves it. He can't wait to inhabit it and kill some adventurers. I'm going to hit the whole darn thing with the Black Magic base coat. That's going to be half black matte paint and half matte Mod Podge. Once it's covered and dried, I'm going to go in with Gray Storm, one of my new favorite colors, and the vast majority of the tower, all this fancy brickwork, is going to get this Gray Storm. I lay it on and then dip my brush in some water and help push it around into some of the cracks and crevices, just so that I can assure I get a really good coat. Then I'm going to go back with my Elephant Gray, my tried and true Elephant Gray, and I'm going to hit a lot of the embellishments and things on the tower. Next up, I'm going to use Apple Barrel's Khaki, and I'm just going to hit select pieces of the stonework, little bits of trim here or there. It's going to add a really cool visual bit that's going to connect the top of the tower to the middle of the tower, all the way to the bottom of the tower, just so that the entire tower does in fact look like it belongs together. Next up, I'm going to pick 3 colors for my delicious brickwork: light cinnamon, chocolate bar, and chestnut. The food puns, eh? That's right. Here's chocolate going on to one of the bricks. I'm really, really liking this color. It's a very nice, rich brown, and I plan on using it in many future builds. I'm not going to bore you too much with the different paintings of brick, and because mainly it was extremely difficult to get any good shots. Manipulating this tower all over the table to get all 4 sides of certain bricks was just crazy. So I'm sorry I didn't get much footage there. The wood is painted with burnt umber, and then I go back in with a honey brown and dry brush give it a heavy dry brush for the wood grain to pop. Don't forget the door as well. Finally, with a little gunmetal gray or gunmetal, I go in with a detailed brush and hit things like hinges for the hatch on top and my big old iron-bound double doors. I'm going to come in with Apple Barrel's Granite Gray and just lightly dry brush my stonework. I want everything to pop, and this is going to help blend those colored bricks in with the rest of the bricks. Of course, I'm going to do it along the top of the brickwork here, and then I'm going to turn to my tower, and this is where everything really starts to blend and look amazing. I'm really in love with the brickwork, particularly after the painting of the multicolored bricks. I love that technique, and it looks even better with this crazy funky brickwork. Then I'm going to come in with my homemade black wash and just slather this whole darn thing. The top, the wood grain, the brickwork on the tower. Just wash the whole darn thing. Talent in a bottle, they say. I believe it. Once it's dry, I go in with the parchment white and I just pick out the corners and edges. Just very carefully get some of the raised bits. Very lightly here on the top piece, but as you get to the tower and its brickwork and all those crazy funky bricks sticking out at angles, this is where the hitting these edges and highlights really pays off. All right, time to take it to the catwalk and show it off. Check out all of that sexy brickwork. I love it, and I hope you did too. Please like and subscribe, share this video with your friends. Thank you so much. And let's take a look at the tower in a setup with Tinley and the Shamrock Boys.
Oh yes, thank you ever so much for coming, Tinley. As you can see, this tower here has emerged out of thin air in the middle of my village. Well, you see, the villagers and I are quite in a hurry to have this tower gone, and I was hoping you and your Shamrock Boys might have a look.
How absolutely marvelous. The entire tower is acting like a magical waypoint. Not so fast, Mayor. We want to know how much a job like this is going to pay. But as the captain began to negotiate with the mayor of the town, Tinley was drawn to the tower and its magical energies. I wonder what would happen if I knocked on the door. Tinley stepped closer as the captain and the mayor were still negotiating, and she knocked upon the door of the tower, and just like that, she vanished.
Oh my! I do believe Miss Tinley has vanished.
Oh my God, Tinley! Darn it, I didn't even get a good price yet. Go grab the boys. We're going to have to go get her out. The captain lined up outside the door, prepared to go in after his sorceress. Hey there, thanks so much for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it. If you liked the video, please smash that like button. If you like to see more content like this, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends and family, and as always, like each other, love each other, and craft on.